A bill titled Lori Jackson Nicolette Elias Domestic Violence Survivor Protection Act was introduced by Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal on November 14, 2023. The authors of the bill posit the following findings, but I cannot verify what sources these are from. I do not agree or disagree with any of the findings in particular, but I will posit all concerns I do have to promote logical conclusion drawing to the best of my ability. From the text. Congress has the responsibility to keep the populace of the United States safe, and domestic gun violence is a significant threat to the well-being of the United States. Each year in the United States, more than 800 women are shot and killed by an intimate partner. My input. This does not distinguish intentional homicide versus accidental firearm discharge, though I believe this number represents proven acts of homicide. From the text. More women are killed in the United States by domestic partners than by any other type of assailant, and most of these homicides are committed with firearms. Approximately 4,500,000 women alive in the United States today report having been threatened with a gun by a domestic partner. My input. With a Google search and results from the U.S. Census Bureau stated the total female population of the United States is 167.5 million, meaning 2.7% of the female population has reported being threatened with a firearm by a partner. Not disputing that, as there is no verification possible otherwise, just taking other perspectives. From the text. Almost two-thirds of intimate partner homicides in the United States are committed with a firearm. My input. This is not distinguished as only female victims. From the text. If a woman has an abusive male partner who has access to a firearm, the woman is 5 times more likely to be killed than she would be if the abusive male partner did not have access to a firearm, and domestic violence assaults involving a gun are 12 times more likely to result in death than domestic violence assaults involving other weapons or bodily force. Accused individuals of intimate partner violence are far more likely to commit additional acts of gun violence. Nearly half of all mass shooters have committed acts of domestic violence. Victims of intimate partner violence often pursue restraining orders as a means of protection in the immediate aftermath of, or in conjunction with, leaving dangerous partners in situations. This time period is especially dangerous for victims. From the text. Although individuals against whom there is a domestic violence restraining order are barred from purchasing a firearm under Section 922, G8, of Title 18, United States Code, various loopholes in that section allow accused individuals to purchase and maintain possession of firearms. My input. This is not accurate, as Title 18 Section 922 Part G states that persons who have a court order are prohibited from transporting or obtaining a firearm through interstate or foreign means, not that they cannot purchase one. This is actually a much more serious reason for change to be made though. From the text. For example, federal law only protects domestic violence victims against spouses, former spouses, cohabitants, former cohabitants, and individuals with whom those victims have a child. Furthermore, under federal law, protective orders issued against domestic violence abusers on an emergency or ex parte basis do not prohibit those abusers from possessing or purchasing firearms. From the text. Some states and local governments have passed laws that go beyond the federal baseline by expanding the range of abusive partners included in firearm restrictions to encompass abusive dating partners. Numerous studies conducted between 2000 and 2017 have shown that states that pass these laws experience a significant reduction in intimate partner homicides. States that restrict access to guns to individuals subject to active domestic violence restraining orders have experienced a 13% reduction in intimate partner homicides involving firearms. Congress has the power to set a national standard to protect domestic violence victims who seek restraining orders against abusive partners by preventing those abusive partners from possessing or purchasing firearms and ammunition while the restraining order is in effect. This bill takes 3 actions to define terms for the related actions. Action 1 is to define covered domestic violence court order. First, the court order must give the other party proper notice of a hearing in order to be issued, regardless of their appearance in court or not. An ex parte order does not require the other party to be present, but does have to meet local time requirements in order to protect the Sixth Amendment right to due process. This court order would prohibit the accused individual, for lack of a better term, from harassing, stalking, or threatening an intimate partner or child of such intimate partner, or engaging in other conduct that would place an intimate partner in reasonable fear of bodily injury to the partner or child, as well as trying to stop a witness from testifying against them in court. This court order must be made by finding the accused individual is an actual threat or simply states that the accused individual is prohibited from using, attempting to use, or threaten the use of physical harm against the partner or child of the partner. The bill extends the term intimate partner to include dating or any other person covered under domestic violence laws of any local area, making the rules different depending on the area the persons inhabit. The actions taken by the accused individual are also extended to encompass stalking and specifies dating. As stated in U.S.C. Title 18, Section 2266. Sections 4 and 5 of this bill simply reduce the previous places where covered domestic violence court orders were defined to consolidate the United States codes. This consolidation makes sense as Title 18, Section 921 is titled Definitions. The largest portion of this bill is dedicated to updating the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968, which is a document to assist state and local governments in reducing the incidence of crime, to increase the effectiveness, fairness, and coordination of law enforcement and criminal justice systems at all levels of government. This update takes the form of an entire additional part at the end of the document. It starts by directing where to find the definitions of ammunition, firearm, and domestic violence protection order. It defines covered entity as a state, Indian tribe, or unit of local government, basically helping dictate what local laws will be established based on location of the dispute. The bill then adds to the omnibus a grant program that will allow the U.S. Attorney General to provide money to those covered entities in order to carry out the previously mentioned court orders. In order for an entity to earn the grant, however, they must have laws that are very close in nature to the laws described here in this bill. The Attorney General determines this closeness and eligibility. The laws do not have to be exact, however, and can differ in the scope they have jurisdiction on, be a different type of protective or firearm surrender order, or have different timing requirements for action. The money provided to these entities will be used to either carry out the policies and procedures that are being described next, or to partner with another organization that will help carry out the policies and procedures that are being described next. Entities must submit for these grants and the submission details are up to the Attorney General, but must include an action plan for a partnership. The bill dictates that all courts following the policies and procedures here will put out a firearms surrender order, lasting only for the entire duration of the domestic violence protection order, that requires the accused individual to surrender or sell all owned firearms and ammunition to the local law enforcement, surrender, or a licensed firearms dealer, sell, within 24 hours. The local law enforcement will be required to house the firearms and ammunition for the duration of the court order. One thing the bill does specify is even if a firearm the accused individual owns is not currently in their possession, they must still surrender it. The accused individual is not allowed to purchase, own, or carry any firearm during the court order and all permits related to these actions are revoked. Within 48 hours of the court order, the accused individual must submit an official declaration stating that all firearms were surrendered or sold, they do not have and will not have any firearms when the order was made, and an itemized list of all firearms and ammunition that were removed with signatures of the new owners. If the accused individual does not comply with the court order, or there is a belief they have violated the order, the local law enforcement chief will be required to take any firearms in their possession. If any firearms are placed under the protection of the law enforcement agency, the agency will be responsible for proper storage and handling of the firearms. Within 7 days of the court order ending, and upon the request of the accused individual, the law enforcement agency must perform a proper background check and return the firearms and ammunition to the owner, pending the background check. Once the court order is issued, the courts and local law enforcement will provide support to the victims to ensure safety and security. Finally, the omnibus will also amend United States Code Title 34, Section 10261 to authorize additional federal funds be given to the Attorney General in order to provide these grants. No sum is specified, only that as much money is necessary will be given. The last section of the actual bill, Section 7, changes the name of court order to Covered Domestic Violence Court Order in United States Code Title 34, Sections 40903 and 40912. This is the end of the bill. Primary impact: if this bill passes as it stands, we should see not only a reduction in firearm-related homicides by domestic partners for females, but domestic partners in general, as female is nowhere specified in the amendments. Secondary impact: overall firearm-related crimes should also drop if only a little. If a homicide is prevented, further homicides by the potential perpetrator may also be prevented as well as retaliations. This may not be a very substantial impact, but human life is not easy to evaluate. Tertiary impact: since this bill provides additional money to be given to the Attorney General, two things could happen. First, money set aside for something else may be deemed less important and be given to the Attorney General for the grants created with this bill. Second, since more money will be needed to fund this, taxes could increase to offset this new requirement. I did say that both can happen, and that is still true. If some programs are deemed less important and defunded, but not enough money has been given to the Attorney General, more money will have to be acquired, most likely through taxation. Is this bill good or bad? That is not for me to decide alone. If you have comments, questions, or concerns about this bill, please contact your senator and representative. They should be listening to those they represent as much as you should be listening to them.